Welcome to the Gefen Digital Signage video tutorial series. My name is Jason Fitzgerald, and as the product manager for digital signage here at Gefen, I'll be guiding you through this training which will cover basic software orientation for the Gefen Digital Signage Director. The Gefen Digital Signage Director software is included with every purchase of the Gefen Digital Signage Creator product. Today we'll be using version 2.2.2 for this tutorial, and this may differ from the version that you're currently running. You can always check Gefen's website at this link, where you can always download the latest version. We should begin by getting familiar with the software interface of the Digital Signage Director. It's broken up into three main sections: the Preview section, the Browser section, and the Layers or Editing section. The Preview section is where you interact with your media assets. Inside of this section, you can reposition and resize those assets. For example, I can move this clock into the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and I can also resize it. This section also gives you a pretty decent representation of what your project will look like once it's uploaded onto a DSC. Right above the Preview window is the toolbar. This is where you'll find a number of time control functions, as well as other tools which will help in project creation. This is the project clock, which by default should be locked to your system clock on your computer. It's a useful tool when we're testing projects that are based on a schedule. We can modify the time and even the date to test when a particular action occurs when we're dealing with a project that's based on a schedule. To the right of the project time are the playback controls. All projects created in the Digital Signage Director will play back on a timeline, so we have the ability to play, pause, and restart our project from the beginning. When we have a DSC or Digital Signage Creator device open and showing in the preview window, we can click on this snapshot button, which will give us a live preview of what's being shown on that DSC. And this is the interactive mode button. By clicking on this button, we can enter interactive mode. So if we've connected a touchscreen, keyboard, or even a mouse to the DSC, we can use this button to test that interactive project by clicking through media assets inside of the preview window. This is the new text layer button. This can be used to create a blank text layer, and it's only one of 4 assets that we can create from scratch inside of the Digital Signage Director. To the right of the new text layer button, we have the editing mode button. We'll use this to go into editing mode, which we can use to edit certain templates that are included with the Digital Signage Director. This last item in the toolbar is only used with multi-screen projects. We can use it to look at a particular screen inside of a larger multi-screen application. Now that we've taken a look at the preview section, we'll take a look at the browser section. This section functions like a tabbed internet browser. We have an address bar, which gives us the location of what we currently have open in the selected tab, and we also have the tabs themselves, which contain folders, much like you would find in the Windows environment. To the left of the address bar, we have the Up Folder button. We can use this to navigate up folder levels inside of the tab that we currently have open. So, for example, I currently have open the default workspace. This tab will always be open when we start the software. If I navigate into the My Projects folder, I can use the Up Folder button to return back to one level higher, back to the default workspace. To the right of the address bar, we have the Refresh button. This is useful for refreshing content in the tab that we currently have open. To the right of that, we have the Quick Publish button, which is unavailable by default. Because this button is project specific, it'll only become available when a project has been uploaded to one or multiple Digital Signage Creator devices. When the Quick Publish button is available for a particular project, this button can be used to republish that project onto the device or devices it had published to last. The last button in the browser section is the View menu. This will allow you to choose the viewing mode of the tab's contents in either the icon or detail views. By default, the view is set to icon mode. This can very easily be changed to the details view, which will give you information about the name, description, and URI of the tab's contents. The last section that we'll talk about is the Layers or Editing panel. The Layers or Editing section has a toolbar located directly above it, which contains a number of very important buttons. The first button in this toolbar is the Back button. This button functions similarly to the Up Folder button in the Browser section. For example, in this sample project that I have open, I have two layers, a text layer and a playlist layer. If I double-click or dive into my playlist, I can work specifically with that layer or media asset. If I want to go back, I use the Back button to take me back up one level. The next two buttons are the Save and Revert buttons. Please note that there are no undo functions in the Digital Signage Director software, so it will be very important to save your project often. The Revert button will be used to revert back to your last save. When a setting has been changed in a template or an effect has been applied, it'll be necessary to use the Apply button to initiate those changes. If something you've changed is not showing up in the preview area, ensure that the Apply button has been pressed. The final button is the Close button. This button will close any media asset or project that you currently have open and showing in the preview area. This completes part 1 of the basic software orientation for the Gefen Digital Signage Director. In part 2, we'll take a look at the File, Settings and Help menus. We will look at layer structure, and we'll also take a look at the My Devices, My Projects, and My Templates folders inside of the default workspace.